Hi, I'm Mish D Max, and I went to see the new Mad Max movie and wanted to create my own inspired road warrior makeup look. It's not a direct replication of anything anyone would wear in the movie, but more a war paint that I would slather on my face before battle on the road in a post-apocalyptic wasteland where I had access to some red, black, and orange dust, and I guess a few sticks to use as brushes or something. I also created a matching red and black distressed nail design, which you can check out over yonder. This is the only surviving footage since the apocalypse. You have no idea what I had to go through to retrieve this. Took on a war rig, vanquished the rock riders through the narrow canyon, and had to tear Immortan Joe's face right off with a rotating wheel. After priming my lids with Mac Painterly Paint Pot, despite the heart-wrenching pain of what's to come, survival is key, and we must go on. I applied the Makeup Geek Gel Eyeliner in Poison to the inner half of my lid using my finger that's just itching to come out. Then I retrieved the Makeup Geek Outer-V brush and blended out the edge of the coloured base, buffing it towards the crease and across onto the lid. Then for some black, I grabbed Inglot Matte Gel Eyeliner in 77 with the tip of my finger and applied it to the outer half of my lid. I went back to the Makeup Geek Outer-V brush and proceeded to blend the top of that out and merge it with the red base, using a clean finger as well. I left the black there because I was going to come back to it later. Then I got the Inglot Rainbow Shadow in number 111R, and with the Sedona Lace EB09 brush I took the darkest of the peach shades and ran that through my crease as a transition shade. Next I took the Burning Heart palette from Sugarpill and packed on the Eyeshadow Love Plus onto the inner half over the red base with the small end of the Naked 3 eyeshadow brush. I used patting motions to get the highest pigmentation and made sure I got the shadow right up against the lash line. I acquired the Sigma E36 blending brush from my stash and began to blur the edge of the red, and then went to the Urban Decay Electric palette to get the eyeshadow Slow Burn and ease the transition into the crease. I made sure the Love Plus and Slow Burn mixed well, going back between the tiny blending and flat brushes, and I buffed enough Slow Burn into my inner crease so you could see it when my eyes are open. Next I took the Inglot eyeshadow number 464DS and the Sigma E32 Exact Blend brush to run that along the crease and up into the start of the brow bone for some red and earthy tones for the dust of the desert. I also began to take that warm shade down my nose, sort of like contouring the upper part, not to make it thinner but just to make the look kind of freaky. I took some Slow Burn and blended it next to the earthy shade down my nose, filling in the space towards the lid but avoiding the tear duct. Then also adding more of the earthen tone because I wanted it to be a quite strong part of the look. Now it's time for more of that black Inglot gel eyeliner, and I grabbed the Sigma E17 Waterline Liner brush, using it to coat my tight line. Then I began carving out a massive wing, first starting by marking out a rough line on both of my eyes, and I dragged in some gel eyeliner on the outer half along my lash line, wiggling the product between my lashes. I blended that in with the outer V brush and continued to extend the wing. For a bit more precision, I got out the Sigma E11 eyeliner brush and really let that wing rip. I joined it up to the lower lash line and added some gel there too. I thickened the wing up to show it really meant business, giving it a wicked curve, and then blended it out with the domed brush, adding more product there and taking it up and out. I also blended the top edge with the soft blending brush with residual transition shade on it. I was feeling an asymmetrical vibe because I haven't done something like that in quite a long time, so I took out a second wing below the large one. I thickened that up and gave it a wicked curve. I'm just making this up as I go along and having fun with it. Don't worry if you don't like where it's going, because you can take a makeup wipe or even one of those pointed cotton buds with makeup remover on it and reshape it. And for this rough kinda edgy look, it really doesn't matter if it's not perfect. It just needs to appear powerful and superbly badass. And I added a little black on the edge of my waterline as well. Then to set all that black, I went for the Sugarpill Bulletproof Eyeshadow and Sigma F70 Concealer Brush. I patted that matte black eyeshadow over the outer half of my eyelid and all along the large wing using the edge of the brush towards the end. And I blended the black and red together in the middle, rubbing my brush along the separation line, adding some more red eyeshadow and overlapping both shades. I took the Exact Blend brush to smooth out the top of that wing, buffing the black into the crease and spreading the shadow further out into my temple. Then I went back to the Inglot Earthy Brown shade to intensify the crease, blending out the black and taking it out towards the wing. And I blend the top of that out with a little bit of the peach too. And for some inner corner fun, I applied the Inglot 407 Pearl, this shimmery orange golden shade, with the Sigma E44 Firm Blender, filling in the space between the nose contour / brow part and the start of the lid. I also took it across the beginning of my lower lash line, messily applying it all over the area. I cleaned up the excess inner corner shimmer to make way for Physicians Formula Eye Booster Pen. I drew a guideline from the peak of my tear duct out in a straight line towards my nose, and then back to the gel eyeliner, and I drew a very thin line across my lashes. I continued creating the inner corner pointy dude using both the pen and the gel eyeliner, joining it up to the beginning of my lash line, helping by stretching the skin towards my nose, and I'm thickening up the line a little. I went back to the Poison eyeliner and took some product on a pointed cotton bud to apply it to the middle of my waterline, and proceeded to smudge the red base along the lash line between the black and used the other flat side of the shtick to blend it out. Then back to the Inglot Earthen shade, and then ran that quite far down on my lower lash line, also taking that along the lower wing. Then I took some Slow Burn and ran that along my lashes, and a bit of Love Plus 2 to darken it up. I set the outer corner and lower wing with that flat brush and Sugarpill Bulletproof and blended that down. For some fancy detail, I grabbed Makeup Forever Aqualiner in number 10 and drew a line above the lower wing with the metallic red eyeliner, continuing in a similar shape, curving upwards. I whipped out the Sugarpill Loose Shadow in Penelope and made a liquid liner with the Illamasqua Sealing Gel and the Chunky Copper Pigment, which I applied with the Sigma E65 angled brush to fill in the space between the wings. I went back over the edge of the red liner to correct some copper overflow and proceeded to do my eyebrows in the usual fashion with Benefit Browsings in Light, making them strong enough for the dramatic makeup, and I set them with Benefit Gimme Brow. I curled the shit out of my lashes to make sure they would be slightly seen through all the blackness above, and I took CoverGirl Clump Crusher Mascara to give them a decent coat. However, since my tube has dried out, and I really don't like the giant bristled applicator on this Maybelline mascara, I simply dipped the CoverGirl brush into the Maybelline tube, then used the CoverGirl tube to scrape off the excess, and applied that to my lashes. And I only applied mascara to the outer corner lashes on the lower lash line where the black is, so the red comes through in the center, and to give a bit of a strange overall look to the eyes. Then I cleaned up any fallout with a makeup wipe. I'm taking a prosthetic adhesive called Pros-Aide with a pointed cotton bud, dipping it into the bottle and making a little puddle on this plastic baggie. Then to stick on these gold 3mm spikes from the Born Pretty store, I'm tapping on some Pros-Aide with the cotton bud over the copper wing and then adding some to the base of the spike. I waited a little bit so the Pros-Aide wasn't too liquidy, and then I applied 3 of the gold spikes with the tweezers. Then I did my regular face routine, except I took my new Real Techniques Miracle Sponge and wet it with MAC Fix Plus to dampen it, then blended in my concealer, patting the product into my skin. And finally I picked up some of my Purely Cosmetics Diamond Perfect Finish loose powder with the damp sponge and pressed that into my skin. Then I knocked off any excess powder with the Real Techniques setting brush. I used some of that Inglot Peach shadow to buff out the lower edge too. I made sure the terracotta shade was strong enough in the nose contour area and further down than the red. Then I went back to the electric palette and slow burn once again with the tiny blending brush to drag the neon red down my nose some more for a nice freaky finish. For a matte warm-toned cheek, I took MAC Surf Baby Collection Blush in My Paradise and applied it at the back of my cheeks under the cheekbone with the Napoleon Paradise 20B Reflective Contour Brush. I also took some of that Inglot eyeshadow number 464DS for contour far back and close to the ears to give a matching orangey earthen tone to the face. I wanted this to be very angular and pulled up like the eye shape. Then I went for Bourjois Healthy Mix Powder Foundation in 54 for a forehead contour to give an outdoorsy sun-smacked effect, and also blended some of that terracotta shade in the corners for a cohesive look. I darkened my beauty spot using my brow kit. Then I went back to the Pros-Aide and the handy dandy pointed cotton bud to grab more of the adhesive so I could dispense the product easily. I made a pattern above my left eyebrow following this shape, and then went to the 6mm spikes from Born Pretty and these 3mm black rhinestones that I got off eBay. I used the same method as before since it's a contact adhesive, and from what I gather that means it sticks better to itself than if you just put that on your skin and try to put the spike on. Then use tweezers or embellie jelly to pick up the embellishments and place it above my brow in an alternating pattern of spike, then rhinestone, and so on. One very important thing when using Pros-Aide, you need the specific makeup remover which is called isopropyl myristate, and you can buy that at the same place you get the adhesive. I have links below where I got mine. On the other side of my face, following the asymmetrical theme, I placed some spikes following the eyeshadow shape along my cheekbone up towards my temple. Then for the lips, I removed the foundation and powder off them with the Garnier Micellar solution and yet another cotton bud then primed my lips with MAC Prep and Prime Lip Base. I went about lining the center portion of my lips with Makeup Forever Aqua Lip Liner in 8C, creating a very sharp cupid's bow and also filling in my lips with the red pencil. Then I took Urban Decay 24/7 eye pencil in Perversion to line the outer corners and lower edge of my bottom lip. I smudged that in with the Real Techniques retractable lip brush to blur the black line. I made sure the corners were dark but avoided the cupid's bow and kept it red. I blended that with the red pencil, and I took out a bunch of Lime Crime Velveteens to create a gradient lip. First I started with Suede Berry, the brightest red, and applied that to the center of both my bottom and top lips. I let it dry a little, fanning with my hand, and then I went back to the Real Techniques lip brush and patted around the edges to blur it. Then took the Sedona Lace LB05 lip brush and put some of the black velvet velveteen on the back of my hand so I could carefully line the outer perimeter of my lips. I filled in the corners and cleaned up any overflow with cotton buds, trying to keep the outer edge sharp and bringing some of the black liquid lipstick in towards the lips. Then I went on to the darker red called Red Velvet and applied it with the doe foot applicator to my upper lip, up to the cupid's bow, keeping the angles sharp and pointy. I also added some surrounding the lighter red on my lower lip, between the black. Then I got out some more black lipstick, blending the edges with the darker red using a brush and applying some directly from the applicator to the corners. I carefully brought the black towards the cupid's bow, but didn't surround the whole upper lip to give a different effect because I was feeling extra fierce and kinda wacky. I cleaned up around the edges with a bit of concealer and blended that out with my foundation brush. And that's the end of my story. What starts out and ends in one place shows a tough journey, where you don't come back the same and only resilience gets you through. I know next time I won't let them take my focus, so the edge of my knife won't be the only sharpness. If you catch my drift. But seriously, the issues I had with the camera nearly killed me when I saw the footage. However, I couldn't resist putting it up, because I loved the look and wouldn't be beaten by technology, damn it. I hope the busted footage effect didn't piss you off too much, because it was the best I could do. I had so much fun creating this look, and even more wearing it out to the movie, scaring people and generally looking psychotic. The badassery and asymmetry were really doing it for me. Plus, I think the general evil-looking shapes and deserty colors nailed a post-apocalyptic warrior villain, or at least one who stockpiled a bunch of makeup. The studs and spikes stayed on all night until I removed them with the special makeup remover, so I was really happy with the Pros-Aide. I hope you enjoyed my mean, severe, and killer makeup look for a warrior on the road, and subscribe for more tutorials. And don't forget to check iTunes for my podcast and band's music.
Click the little box and see